Hey there, guys. Welcome to Bedtime Stories. I'm Brad,
I'm Braden.
and we are here this week with an interview from Pro Wrestling Illustrated from April 1994. This is an interview press conference with Kevin Von Erich. In this interview, Braden will play the part of Pro Wrestling Illustrated writer Dave Rosenbaum, while I play Kevin Von Erich. Nobody could possibly know how he feels. Kevin Von Erich, one of 6 sons of Fritz and Doris Von Erich, is now the only brother left in a profound tragedy. Jack, 7, accidentally electrocuted himself in 1959. David, 25, died of an acute enteritis during a wrestling tour of Japan in 1984. Mike, 23, died of a drug overdose in 1987 after toxic shock syndrome ravaged his body and affected his mental health. Chris, 21, devastated by Mike's death, died of a self-inflicted gun wound in 1991. On February 18, 1993, in Denton, Texas, Kerry, 33, was found dead with a self-inflicting bullet wound through his chest. Kerry had been going through some severe problems. The day before his death, he had been indicted on a cocaine possession charge while on probation for a 1992 drug conviction. While life collapsing around him and a jail sentence likely, Kerry took his own life. 10 years ago, the Von Erichs were wrestling's golden boys, handsome, athletic, and charismatic. The boys stole the hearts of Texas wrestling fans and found similar adoration worldwide. But everything went wrong. Mystery has been attached to each of the deaths. The countless theories have been offered on what made 3 brothers commit suicide. Many questions remain unanswered, and the tragedy runs deeper than most people know. Fritz and Doris divorced 2 years ago after 43 years of marriage. Kevin, 36, is the oldest of the Von Erich sons, a star during the boom years of world-class wrestling in Texas in the mid-1980s. He is now semi-retired with no plans of returning to the ring. He and his wife Pam live in Shreveport, Louisiana, with their 4 children: Kristen, 12, Jill, 8, David Michael Ross, 5, and Kevin Kerry Marsh, 1. Pro Wrestling Illustrated senior writer Dave Rosenbaum spoke with Von Erich early in October. His pain is obviously very deep, Rosenbaum reported. People doubt the Von Erich's sincerity, but Kevin exposed his soul. At one point during the interview, he was talking about growing up and how close he was to his brothers. Out of nowhere, he paused and said, "I do feel lonely." I thought he was going to cry, and then I think he did.
I understand you're writing a screenplay. What is it about?
It's going to be the story of the Von Erich brothers, being the older brother and how it all went down. There's a whole lot of guesswork, and a lot of people are making up the whole story. I like to get the facts out. My brothers were really good people.
Why have you stopped wrestling?
I'm still in shape, but wrestling is just not fun for me. I didn't leave the business left me. How do you
realize what has happened to your family?
I look at it like this. My brothers and I lived really dangerously. We were a really reckless group, always showing off for each other, like walking on bridges in Japan and taking every chance we could. We were just young kids. We felt like we could do anything and nothing would hurt us. It was reckless. I'm really surprised that I survived it.
So what's your opinion about what happened?
I'm hearing all this guesswork about what happened, what made the Von Erichs do it. Nothing made us do it. It just happened. We enjoyed ourselves to death. We were always showing off for each other. We used to have this thing called the chance of the day, but we'd take a chance on our lives every day. Dave was always too smart for that, so he'd just watch. We'd jump on wild bulls' backs, jump on trains going fast. I almost got beheaded one time doing that. We'd get on the roof of a car at highway speed. You start thinking nothing can get you and you're indestructible. That's part of being in sports. We were blessed with good bodies, good balance. We showed off for each other.
Why did you survive?
That's a tough question. I think only the good Lord can answer that. Kerry really didn't have anything to live for. He had his 2 beautiful daughters and a wife he loved. But then he'd come home and all his stuff would be moved out. She'd moved all his stuff out. Kerry felt like he was in a hopeless situation. Kerry was no saint either. They both treated each other kind of rough. He had pretty much come to an understanding the day he killed himself. He just left having fun with Kathy, his wife. Kerry was going to jail, and he was afraid of never seeing his girls again.
Did you have any idea he was going to kill himself?
I had an inkling. I talked to him 30 minutes before he did it. He said, "Kevin, I'm about to kill myself." We had talked for about an hour. We told some good, dirty jokes. We laughed, and he told me, "I'm going to kill myself." I thought I had him talked out of it. He said, I just didn't want to be like Mike and not say goodbye. That's when I begged him. I said, don't do this thing. Don't leave me alone. You're my only brother. Don't leave me, I thought. I had him talked out of it. 30 minutes later, they found his body. He must have gone right out to do it.
I don't think anyone can imagine how painful that must have been for you.
Any kid reading this article, if you only knew what kind of pain you'd inflict on people who love you, and how it stays and never goes away, you'd never do it. You may feel like dying at the moment, but if you knew what kind of pain it would put on people who love you, you'd never do it.
Watching 5 sons die must have been a terrible burden for you, for your parents.
My parents had been married for 43 years when Chris blew his brains out. 3 months later, they divorced. I don't know if one blames the other. I don't think it was either one's fault at all. I saw my dad the other day and my mother's in Dallas. My parents got together after Kerry died because they needed each other. They didn't want to start any more of the gossip rags, but my parents never got back together. Maybe they will get together one day. That's my dream. They need each other.
I know you have a wife and children, but do you ever feel lonely without your brothers?
It is pretty lonely. But what are you going to do? Life goes on. I have my kids, and I put all my love into them. You'll never know how close my brothers were to me. It is very lonely. I'm the only one alive, and some people are taking bets on me. But there's no way that's going to happen to me because I have a reason to live and a good one. I'm happy with my life.
You sound unusually optimistic for someone who has been through such hard times.
You just have to be tough. Just like in wrestling, it's not always easy, but the rewards are there. Just like in life, I think things are going to have a happy ending. I have 2 sons coming up, and we just might see them become the masters of the Iron Claw.
Do you blame your brothers' deaths in wrestling?
Not at all. If anything's to blame, it's our recklessness, me and my brothers.
And you're through with wrestling?
I really had enough.
Is there anything you'd like to say to the readers?
I'd like to say to everybody that we love you all, and this is the truth. This is the way it went. My father was not a real brutal guy like they try to play him out to be in some of these gossip magazines. We were just a lot of fun-loving little boys.
You mentioned your father in a defensive way. I'm sure you've heard most of the rumors concerning your family.
Sure, I've heard a lot of them.
Well, how about commenting on a few of them?
Go ahead. That's what I'm here for.
It's been suggested that drug use was prevalent in your family, and your parents didn't discourage it. In fact, some people say your mother encouraged it.
I'll say this. As far as illegal drugs, that's not true. I'm talking about drugs prescribed by doctors, painkillers. Dave and Mike had surgeries. All the brothers had painkillers prescribed by doctors. Kerry was the only one who ever got into illegal drugs, not prescribed by doctors. The best way to handle pain is to grit your teeth and put ice on it. If you take a pain pill, the next time it will take 2 of them, and the next time it's going to be 3. It's just a crack in the door which gets wider and wider. In a way, drugs had a lot to do with the death of quite a few of my brothers. Mike was into painkillers. It's nasty to talk about. I know kids are reading these articles. I don't want to get into it too much, but drugs are deadly. I can tell you from experience, some of my brothers died from illegal drugs.
Many people accuse your parents, especially your father, of being abusive.
I was there. I remember back when my dad was a bad guy in wrestling, my brothers and I would go to school, and the bigger kids would watch wrestling on Saturday night and get even on Monday. We fought together, and the family who fights together not only gets good at fighting, it gets real close. I don't remember my parents being really super strict or abusive in any way at all. I remember a real happy childhood full of running in the Texas sun. Just us and nature. We didn't even wear clothes until we went to school. We were so far out in the country we didn't even have any school chums. I do feel lonely.
Some people say you and your brothers were pushed into wrestling.
I've heard that rumor a million times. People love to talk about that one. My dad did not push my brothers into wrestling.
Do your parents blame themselves for what happened?
My mother says she doesn't blame my dad, but I don't know. She doesn't blame herself. My father doesn't blame my mother, and he doesn't blame himself. They know how wild we were.
But you're pretty convinced you're going to make it aren't you?
I have beautiful children and a beautiful wife, a nice home. I don't live in opulent luxurious surroundings, but I have everything I want. I live in the country. I have room to move around, shoot my guns, and be myself. I have all I need. My little brother Kerry figured he didn't have anything. He was rootless. He had no home. Seeing me with my family made his pain greater. It reminded him of what he was missing. It was such a sad, tragic thing. So guys, that was this week's episode of Bedtime Stories with Brad and Braden. You can check us out on our YouTube channel, Brad's Collection of Braden's Toy Show, and on Twitter at Oorah820. And
At Braden Rochester.
thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next week, and you can always check us out at onewrestlingvideo.com. Goodbye.